You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Fioraliz.
And this is Joe. Welcome back to the Esoterics Podcast.
How you doing today, Joe?
I am really good. It's a beautiful day here. The humidity is low, which is good because it's been kind of high here in Portland, which is unusual, making it sweaty and sticky and icky.
It's not fun.
No, I think that's my least favorite part about summer is the humidity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Did you get humidity a lot in Michigan?
Oh my God,
too?
it's literally the most humid place on the earth other than the freaking
So much
rainforest.
water.
Yes, it was horrible. So, Michigan summers I can say are amazing, wonderful, but humidity was prevalent. It is prevalent in Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you? You probably don't get a ton of humidity down in Southern Cal.
No, it's really dry here. No, yesterday I went to Long Beach, to the Long Beach Antique Fair and to meet a friend for lunch. But our AC turned on at 8:30 in the morning here at home, so like it's hot.
So that's
here.
when
it's
been
in the hundreds.
Is your AC automatically turns on?
Yes. And so, but I drove, that's an hour west, obviously, towards the beach. And I get there and it's overcast. And I'm dressed for like 100-degree weather. And it's like 75, even overcast. It was actually really nice. Yeah. I actually cannot complain. And then you realize why some parts of, all of LA County is so expensive. They do have different weather than we do inland.
Yes.
It's a big contrast.
Yeah.
Between
well,
there and here.
Whenever it gets, because it's very unusual to have heat in the 90s consistently here, but all summer it's been 80s and 90s here. It really has been a very hot summer. But then I'll get mad and I'm like, why am I experiencing? I moved here so that I didn't experience this shit. And then I'll check as if this is going to change things in some way. I'll check the weather on the coast and it's like 65. And I'm like, why didn't I move to the coast?
I'm almost there, but not quite.
But come on, Alice, let's go. We're gonna take a road trip. Yeah, it's crazy how different the weather is at the coast.
Yeah, and you don't even have to go that far. Right? How far are you from the coast? It's like an hour, maybe.
An hour and a half-ish. If you drive like you're from Portland, which most people do. For me, an hour.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? Anything new?
Not really. If you're local to me, check the Psychic Sister website. And I'm doing readings live, in person, 30-minute readings. So, and we're going to start doing classes there. So I just launched like 3 classes. So that's exciting.
That's great.
And there's another kind of cool announcement. I can't really make this one right now, but I will soon. But I'll just say that it'll give y'all another podcast to listen to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing super exciting going on right now. What about with you?
No, nothing. No new.
How's the house coming?
It's good. I was talking to my friend yesterday about that. And it's always in retrospect that you see, right, the lessons and everything that you've learned. And I knew that at the time when we purchased the house that I forgot what placement it was now, but whatever like strong placement was going on in that time was in my house, my astrological house of home and family. So I knew that it was going to be like, a big change or whatever. But just thinking about how much I learned about myself in this process.
Beautiful.
That I hadn't really sat down to consider, because for years before, when Mike and I would try to like do some kind of home improvement project, it would not go well. Like we both are kind of quick to frustrate with something not, not going correct the first try.
I can't relate at all to that.
So then we'd end up like mad, and so then we're like just kind of in a bad mood, and then we're like getting in a bad mood with each other, and it was just not a good combination. So whenever he would say things like, oh yeah, like, maybe one day we'll flip a house, or one day we'll do this, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. No, that sounds horrible. Because I already know how we get. So anyway, because I worked so much in the house, a lot of it was alone, even though like I had like, my mom's boyfriend was the one that helped me the most, but he'd be off in one room doing whatever he was doing, and then I would be off in another room, removing wallpaper or whatever the hell I was doing. So just that lesson for me, of not being so quick to frustrate and allowing myself just that grace of like, okay, shit doesn't work out the first time. Like, okay, this tool didn't work for that. Let's try something else. And instead of getting pissed, because it's so much more, it's so much more weight that you put upon yourself when you're getting mad on top of something already going wrong. Like that, you don't need that added thing.
Right.
That added frustration, the added bad energy on top of what you're already going through. So I really did learn to put that in check, and to really let that go, and not be that person who's so quick to anger and quick to frustrate anymore. So still always a work in progress, but I do feel like I have a much better tool belt when it comes to dealing with that situation now going forward than I did in the past.
That's huge. That's just a huge lesson as far as, looking for the gold nugget in our experiences. Maybe they're difficult or challenging. I mean, the gold nugget is your house. It's flipping gorgeous. Also, it's interesting that this is the topic, or this is the realization that you're having now, because right now the astro energy is really supporting that sort of looking back, as we move into September. Looking back and saying, look, what are the lessons and what can I give up? That sort of thing. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thank you. So you were going to talk about the numerology then, right?
Yeah.
About the season coming up.
Good segue, right? September. So September is a huge month in numerology, okay? Because the energy of your personal year, and I talked about personal years in last week's episode, the energy of your personal years tends to sort of peak in September. It actually peaks in August, so it's peaking now, right? And now we're being shown all of the lessons that we had for the first 7.5, 8 months. And then we're looking at them and saying, this is what I learned. Like you just, showed us that you learned how to be how to anger less quickly. Anyway, so September is sort of a culmination of the lessons and stuff that we've grown since January. So whenever I do anybody's numerology chart, one of the first things that I tell them is that a personal year is experienced in phases. And if you look back, you'll go, oh, yeah. So, for example, January through March, which is the first 3 months, that's when we have all of our experiences, our adventures, our life circumstances. That's when the big things happen. The big things that are setting the foundations for what's for the rest of the energy of the year to come in. Then April through May, that's when we start to experience the challenges and the lessons. We have to make decisions. We have to, it can feel hard and, like, what is this? Why did I do this? Why is this happening to me type of thing. Yeah. Then we move into the next phase of this whole personal year lesson, which is June through August, when we see our outcomes and we see the assimilations, right? And this is where you are right now. You're seeing the outcome and you're assimilating it all. And then September through December, which is the last phase of the year, is all about integration and then new directions, because September is about integration. And then the 10-month, October, and then 11 those are 1 month, new forward directions, new forward new opportunities, new directions, that sort of thing. The 1 is all about new. And then those new directions for 2024 are coming. So
2024?
Yep, 2024. So, or I'm sorry, no, 2023. So,
okay.
So right now, or in October, or November, you're gonna start seeing signs, synchronicities of the things that are gonna come in your next personal year. So what year are you in? You're in a 1 this year, right? Did we do? Or are you in a 9? A 9 or a 1? What did we figure that out last week?
It was a master number. It was a 211.
An 11 2 per. Oh yeah. Okay.
11,
So so you're in a 2
Yes.
year. Yeah. See, so your 2 year is about partnerships, relationships. The entire year, it's been about that. And then so you're going to be going into a 3 year, which is about personal creativity. So that's, we talked about this last week, because that's when sort of you can put the housework aside and focus more on a more authentic expression of self. So anyway, September, it's a great year to review the goals of your year. Look at all the things that you've accomplished, all of your lessons and all of your triumphs. Really celebrate those triumphs, because as summer sort of starts to wind down, September can feel like the start of something new, right? New possibilities, new kids going back to school, that sort of thing. We're going to get back into things and embrace new challenges. So I just wanted to talk about taking advantage of that 9 energy, wrap things up, set time aside to review the last 8 months, and then realign before the busyness of the fall activities and the holidays hit. So it's a big month.
Wow. Yeah. It's so spot on.
Yeah.
I wish I had known this information like a long time ago.
Right.
Just this breakdown. The breakdown of you have, for each, basically every 3 months. Because I can absolutely 100% see it for this year, just because I feel like I have taken the time to look back on things. But in other years, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know this for sure. I mean, there was just thinking about the year that I got married. We got married in June. It lines up with outcomes and assimilation. Just things like that. It's perfect.
So wouldn't it be awesome if you had a friend who was doing these reports for people, and they would do one for you and send it to you as a gift? Wouldn't that be awesome?
You did.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be so great if that was a thing.
All I'm saying is I really would have used this information maybe a decade ago, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
But I'm very honored and glad to have it now.
Yes, there is one on its way to you. I just did my first personal year report. It's like a 35-page report. So it goes into the phases, it goes into each month individually, it goes into the year. It gives you a summary of your numerology report, and then I do a message from your spirit guides at the very end. So every year I do some sort of forecast. But this year I was like, man, I can't do a 12-month forecast. It's like pulling 12 cards per person, and I usually get 25 or 30 requests for them. It was so much work, and I just physically couldn't do it. So I was like, how can I give people this really amazing information without it feeling like a burden, sort of?
Like a daunting
task. That's great. It wasn't a burden. It was a daunting task. And honestly, I asked my higher self, and within I'm not kidding you, within 10 minutes, I had an outline of this. So I did one for Kathy and I sent it to her, and I'm like, show me, give me feedback and that sort of thing. And then I'm going to do one for you and the same thing, but I wanted to wait for Kathy's feedback in case there were major changes. So these will be on sale. They're not going to be super, super expensive. They're going to be about the same price as a reading, and I'll drop that and let everybody know when they're on sale. But they're awesome reports that will help you really get a handle on what you can expect in your year. I wasn't expecting that to turn into a salesy thing, but
No, it works.
Yeah, it did. Because really, I just want to talk about the phases of the personal year.
It's natural.
Yeah.
All right. A couple announcements. Just a reminder for everyone, you can find us on Instagram under Esoterics Podcast. We do like to share, obviously, the post whenever the episodes go live. It's a really great way to share the podcast and share certain episodes that maybe resonated with you specifically. And then you can also find us, each of us individually. My user on Instagram is Fioraliz, Fioraliz _. And then Joe, she's got 2 accounts, and you can find her under Joe Figueres _ Akashic _ reader and Joe Figueres _ studio. You just type in Joe Figueres, you'll find her.
It's true. There's just J.O. Figueres, all in one word, and there I pop up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you had to deal with those scammers copying your account?
Girl, no. It's knock wood and thank you, because every time I see somebody else dealing with that, I get so sad for them, because fuck these fucking people that take and copy people's posts and then scam money, and then, oh my God, it's horrible. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's awful. Just, I don't offer readings through my Instagram, so I don't feel like I'm a target necessarily for that reason. Yeah. But I definitely get a lot of messages in my inbox.
Yeah.
Those fucking scammers, and then I have to respond.
You do, yeah. I know, right? And fuck with them. And then those podcast buttholes who every time we make a post, they're like, promoted on so-and-so. And it's like, damn it, I thought it was a legitimate comment or engagement.
I know.
Makes me sad. Like, oh.
But you know what? It's a comment, so whatever.
I mean, I guess, right? Somebody was talking, some people, I think it was you that was telling me about it, how people buy followers and stuff. Yes. And then when I was talking with Jade, my social media guru, she was like, yeah, don't do that, because when they find out, when Instagram finds out, they'll cancel all those accounts, and then you lose followers that you paid for.
Yeah.
And they're not even engaging.
It's not worth it, really. No, it's not worth it. But that is how you can tell a scammer's account, though, as well, is there's I think we talked about this. There's like several things you can look at, like the date. The number one thing is if this person has like 20 posts on their page, but they were all posted on the same day. That's like red flag number 1 scammer. Yeah. But sometimes they'll have like 1,000 followers right off the bat, so it kind of throws you off, because you're like, oh, this person has a lot of followers, but then you look at them and they're all just like empty accounts. Right. They're just like no post, just a username picture account, so they're not even real followers. So anyway, no, I like organic growth, but it would be really nice to have like something go viral and pick up like a couple thousand followers in a day. That would be awesome. Yeah It'll happen. All right. What are we talking about today?
Oh, today let's have a conversation about walk-ins and wanderers. So, based on your knowledge right off the top of your head, what's a walk-in?
A walk-in is basically when someone's consciousness decides to just leave, and then someone else comes in and basically takes over.
Right, exactly. That's what a walk-in is. And then there's like several different aspects of that. There's wanderers. We'll talk about them, and we'll talk about step-ins, which actually that's the same thing as a walk-in, but these things called otherkins, and then there's hosts and stuff. So we're going to get into, all that good stuff. So a walk-in, it's a new age concept. Right? It's a person whose original soul has departed his or her body and has been replaced with a new soul. And that can either be temporarily or permanent. Okay. So, esoterically, an explanation of a walk-in, they're also called step-ins. All right. So this is how I'm going to break this down. So basically, walk-ins are an individualized aspect of our higher self. Remember, I talked about how the higher self breaks off 25% of the soul and puts it in our bodies. So that's what that is. That's what an aspect is. So basically, when we incarnate, our higher self or our oversoul sort of downloads a portion of our consciousness into this little freshly born baby human body. Okay. And then that's us.
Okay.
We're born. But then at some point in life, that soul, the portion of the soul, like you, me, we're like, fuck that. I'm piecing the fuck out. Like, this sucks, right? Life is overwhelming. It's disheartening. It's emotional, physical trauma, pain, whatever. For whatever reason, people are like, I'm out. This gives another aspect of the same higher self or the same oversoul or a completely new soul the opportunity to incarnate into a body without, to continue learning, but also without the peskiness of being born. So that was super interesting. It sort of really sort of nailed down how we're connected to our higher self because of those little pieces of aspects of the soul, which is just energy.
Have we talked about SIDS before? With
sudden infant death. I think that we mentioned it in one or two podcasts, but we haven't talked about it. No.
That's part of what it is that when the baby's consciousness, the soul just decides to like, nah, I'm out, and they just leave.
Yeah.
And
yep.
There's no explanation. It's just
no,
and they were just out.
And even babies that are stillborn, there's a lot of interesting sort of stories out there from hypnotherapists that babies that are born as twins, a lot of time one twin's like, fuck that, nope. And then, one twin is born and the other isn't. And then also it's stillborn babies. They're like, nah, I've decided no.
Yeah.
Because the concept with souls is that, it's not technically a soul until the baby's born, right? Because the baby's not hanging around in the belly. The baby will go in the belly, or the soul will go in the belly to experience it for a half a second or so,
for a little bit,
kicking and all those things, and then the soul's like, peace out,
and they're out.
Yeah. So
yeah, they're in and out.
So, in a nutshell, walk-ins are higher frequency aspects of a soul that incarnates to help and heal during times of transformation, basically. So we'll talk about why. Why would they choose to do that? All right, but first let's talk about the history. So walk-in is an ancient concept that was first described in like Hindu belief. And so the most famous Hindu story of a walk-in is that of a missionary whose name was Taru Mular. And legend has it that he voluntarily left his body in order to reanimate this young guy who had just died. And so Taru Mular's body was taken up to heaven by the god Siva, and then his consciousness was spent in the remainder of his life on earth in the body of the young man. And it also gave him an ability to access that young man's knowledge, and including an ability to speak another language. Yeah, so that's sort of the first and the most famous walk-in story, in history. But there isn't a ton out there, I'm going to be honest, but there's a lot of articles and research out there that reference the same stories over and over, and we're going to highlight those here.
Okay. So with the walk-in thing, though, this is something that happens, and the other consciousness or the other soul, the original soul of the person is gone, right? Like, It's not like they go back and forth.
Nope. Well, maybe. And when we get to another option, another sort of component of this, we'll talk about that. But for the most part, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And then somebody's like, don't waste that body. So then they jump in and then they take over. Okay. So modern interest in walk-in sort of phenomenon started with the series Seth Speaks. That's a book written by Jane Roberts, and she channeled Seth. Seth was the spiritual being who introduced us to the whole concept of your thoughts create your reality, and that started sort of the New Age renaissance in the 70s.
In the 70s?
Yeah, your thoughts create your reality. That sort of concept. So hippies were already around, but that whole New Age, New Agey is all about that, creating our reality. In 79, another contribution came out, and that was a collection of accounts about walk-ins by Ruth Montgomery. And now Ruth Montgomery is a little bit out there, right? She claimed that Thomas Jefferson was a host to walk-ins who wrote the Declaration of Independence. Who knows? Who knows, right? I mean, but it is what it is, right? Because Thomas Jefferson, he was a slave owner, so that's what I remember about him.
He is also, it's also a piece of garbage.
Well, there's that too. So, I don't know if that redeems him because he wrote the Declaration of Independence. I don't know, but regardless, dude was apparently a walk-in, according to Ruth.
Awful people can do bad things. It doesn't stop them from being awful people.
Thank you. Awful people can do good things. It doesn't stop them from being awful people. Bastards.
Yep.
Okay. In the 90s, Liz Nelson founded Walk-ins International. I thought this was kind of funny. And she held biannual conferences throughout the country until her death in she died in 2002. And so what's happening now is that there's a bunch of walk-ins. They have started to receive guidance that it's time to gather again because the earth is shifting and everything. So there might be more coming up about this, but I didn't dig too deeply into it because I don't particularly, I'm not a walk-in, and it's just a really interesting topic for me.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then some more current New Age beliefs surrounding walk-ins support a variety of experiences other than that consciousness. Okay, so for instance, now we're getting into trance channeling, which is allowing, a spirit to step in. Soul merging is another thing where two souls merge. So that's one of the sort of theories I was talking about, how the original soul doesn't necessarily leave or need to leave in every instance. And those are called otherkins, which we're going to get into otherkins in a minute, where the original soul is said to remain present and coexisting and integrating with the new one. Yeah, so it can get a little bit convoluted. There's a lot of really interesting sort of, everything can be tied back to being a walk-in. Really, anything can, near-death experience, all that stuff. So, all right, so let's talk about characteristics of a walk-in. So basically somebody dies or somebody, all of a sudden your friend or your family member, their personality changes. And I'm talking noticeably. Okay. Emotional trauma experienced by the original soul is now experienced as someone else's memory. And then the walk-in has very little or no emotional impact. Okay. It's been described as a memory of a memory. So, any trauma, any abuse, they're just not experiencing it the same as they used to. So that's more a sign of a walk-in.
Okay.
Traumatic events are either forgotten unless somebody else mentions them, or they just don't remember them, or as far as they're just, it's not something that's present in their life. Let me see. Life changes like divorce and loss of a loved one can be an indicator that a walk-in, or it can be a trigger point, but then also those life changes can also be an indicator, especially with big changes, that something is not right. See, so like I said, you can tie pretty much everything back to the concept of a walk-in.
I see. Yeah.
Once a walk-in enters a person, often after that traumatic experience, maybe a serious illness or a near-death experience, that person starts to behave in a manner completely at odds with earlier established sort of behavior patterns. And so, for instance, they used to be confrontational and hold a grudge, but now all of a sudden they just walk away from drama. They forgive and forget. Yes, it could be a walk-in, or it could just be somebody who's I'm tired of carrying the burden of anger.
Sure. Sure. It also reminds me of when people go to prison and then they come out, completely different, completely changed night and day. Yeah. And usually it's they found God or they found religion or something. And then
they found Jesus.
That's what it is. So, but it's interesting.
No, but think about that too. That's an interesting topic, because if somebody went to prison, they were found guilty, especially if they were found guilty of something they didn't do, and they're screw that. It would be a good opportunity for a walk-in to come in, experience life in prison right? Imprisoned life. And then, maybe experience life after imprisonment or whatever. So, because souls choose experiences under circumstances that you and I would be like, are you freaking insane? I'm not doing that. But as a soul, we're like, what are you talking about? That's gold. That's experience. That's fun.
No, it's fun in some weird other planet dimension.
Now there are walk-ins who are conscious of the shift or of the switch, and they have offered several explanations that the original soul has left and gone on to the other side, that the original soul reincarnated and then they've left, me in charge. The walk-in may claim that they're a new version of their former self, an older, more experienced soul, or any other sort of origin. There was even some mention of extraterrestrials, the souls of extraterrestrials, which I guess we're all extraterrestrials, but I left that one out because I'm like, but we're all extraterrestrials.
I mean, and then it kind of proves the whole conspiracy of the reptilians and politics.
I mean, it really does. It really does. This was cool to get all of this information and see it all in one topic, but it left me with more questions, number one, and number two, it really didn't prove anything or I was like, I'm not convinced.
That's kind of one of these things, but I'm really glad that we're doing this week because this ties in perfectly for what I'm working on.
Yay! See,
it's perfect,
and we don't talk about these things either. We don't really share with each other in a major way what we're doing. That way. No. I mean, we have an idea, but we're not like, okay, we're going to do this and then this and this. So, let's see now. Walk-ins claim a heightened psychic sensitivity, and then they also, after the walk-in takes control, quote unquote, they may take up work as healers or teachers too. So remember, the story of Doreen Virtue?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people claim that she was a walk-in. She is a walk-in now because she was love and light and just a huge mentor. She got me interested in spirituality in deep ways. And then just turned on a dime. She was like, that's it. You're all going to hell. It's like, what? Is she fucking crazy? Is she serious? Am I being punked? What's happening? Threw all of her cards away, like burned them. I was like, oh my God, no, give them to me, right? Like all her books. It was insane. And now, oh my God, I don't even know what she's doing now because I haven't checked in on her.
Well, because we don't care.
I know, right?
She's with a different audience now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to label mental illness, but she's freaking crazy now. Walk-ins basically are here to help raise the vibrational levels of humanity for the most part, right? Because the soul is looking for an experience. The soul is looking for learning. The soul doesn't really, like I said earlier, doesn't really want to bother with the tedious process of incarnating in the usual fashion, going through birth and then having to deal with growing up and stuff. The soul wants instant gratification. It wants instant knowledge. So I truly believe, though, that working in the Akashic Records, that there are people that make these contracts and say up until this point, and then I'm going to peace out. And then, so people just, once a soul contract has been met, or the conditions of the contract have been met, the person has free will. And a lot of times there have been people that have had diseases or, gotten diseases, that sort of thing, because they're like, no, I'm done. I just want to go home.
Okay.
All right. So all that said, there is no known method to prove whether or not the walk-in experience has occurred. Okay. Walk-ins are not quite thought of as like ascended masters, but they're definitely more spiritual, compassionate, and sympathetic than the original person that they inhabited. And I shouldn't even say compassionate. I should say that they're definitely more focused on a spiritual journey versus before. Now, this is sometimes disputed by like the spouse of a walk-in who divorce and that happens a lot with people that claim they're walk-ins, and then there's a high divorce rate, because the spouse is like, you're not the person that I married,
Yeah.
and that's also the walk-in.
This isn't what I signed
It's
up
not
for.
what I signed up for, but also the walk-in divorces, because the walk-in is like, I'm not really interested in carnal love.
or you're not the one I would have chosen. So
right. So I mean, give it
Peace.
to the walk-in. It's like, what? Bye.
Goodbye.
All right. So now here's something that's slightly off topic, but that's worth mentioning, is multi-dimensional existence. Okay. So I want to talk about this. So from the perspective of a multi-dimensional existence, walk-ins could also be people living in parallel universes. So, all right. So first, I have to point out that our universe is made up of hundreds and of billions, if not trillions, of galaxies throughout space. After all the evaluation, astronomers estimate that there are over 10 billion galaxies in our known universe, okay? And over 100 billion stars in each of those galaxies. So that's 1 billion trillion stars in the universe that are unknown, unexplored. We have no idea what's out there.
But yeah, to us, right? To us as humans.
Right. And to think that we are the only intelligent source in the universe, and really not all that intelligent. We are, humanity's doomed, right? It's preposterous and humanity is doomed. All right. So with that knowledge, many researchers sort of support the idea of parallel universes, and they actually have legitimate supporting theories. It's really, really interesting. I didn't want to go too far down into the rabbit hole because, then you start dealing with Big Bang, string theory, quantum sciencey stuff. And my brain's like, no. But the point is that we might be living one of an infinite number of possible potential lives simultaneously because of that multidimensional existence. And if we're all energy, then it would be very easy to switch from one to the other, because as I said earlier, some walk-ins or many walk-ins are simply a brand new aspect of the higher self. So if my higher self, my oversoul, is like all encompassing and the one, or part of oneness, then it would mean that individuation of that soul could be male, female, it could be animal, it could be plant, it could be whatever I wanted it to be. So that's just quantum-y.
And within that, I think it's string theory, I could be completely wrong, but one of those theories that they try to talk about or try to explain dimensions and all that, one of the belief systems or the theories is that for every action that you take or every choice that you make, the alternate option exists.
Yes. Yeah.
However, the less important the decision is, like, let's say, for example, I chose to have toast this morning for breakfast. I could have had oatmeal. Like, there exists this, universe in which I had the oatmeal. But that's not really like a life-affecting choice. Whereas maybe if at one point I decided to take one job versus the job that I actually took, that's like a bigger decision, that then led me to like meet my spouse and all, like, it completely changes your life because you made this one decision. So that decision actually has a lot more energy to it. And so that other dimension, or that other, technically kind of like a road, if you think about it, that other road carries a lot further than like my oatmeal and toast decision, because one affected my life and the other one is pretty minimal.
Yes, I love that. Remember in January I had the choice between the feed the job mass, or feed the mass job, or the jewelry fabrication. And to this day I still will always wonder, what if had I taken that jewelry fabrication job? What if? Because we know how the other one ended up. I was like, fuck this job. I don't really want this. Know, and then all of a sudden I found myself at Psychic Sister doing amazing things that I love. Would I have also found myself at Psychic Sister with the jewelry fabrication job? Or would I be on a path more aligned with doing and creating and designing jewelry full time? either I'm happy. But yeah, I love that. I love how you put that together because it's true. It would be cool. I wish that we could explore all of our lives.
Yeah.
There was a movie I saw last night on Netflix. And it's
which one?
It's called Look Both Ways.
Oh, me too. Yes, that's the one.
Isn't it cute? It was the cutest stinking movie.
Cute. It is so adorable. If you love rom-coms, watch this movie. But if you like rom-coms and a little spiritual woo, like it's so good.
Yes, it was so cute. It was basically just they took this girl was in college and she had basically two paths that she could take. And so instead of showing her taking one, they showed her taking both simultaneously at the same time. It was so cool. So check it out. Look Both Ways on Netflix.
Yeah, it was really cute. Yeah, it's a very, very cute movie. Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. I'm glad you watched it too.
Yeah. Okay. And listen, while we're at it, can I just give a shout out to Hulu, the Hulu original movie Prey, because that was phenomenal. So good. And I think it was the best out of the Predator series. But then another one of my friends said that they have a version where it is all completely in Comanche. So it's indigenous Comanche language. So
check it out.
Good, really good movie is Prey. I don't like the Predator series. I thought it was dumb. I'm like, you can't see the fucker. Like, why are you even messing with this thing? Leave it alone. I think Predator was dumb, but so I was hesitant about this one, and I put it on when I was also distracted. So and I dropped everything within like 5 minutes, and I watched that sucker like on the edge of my seat. It was so good. Yeah. All right, another one of our famous tangents.
It all rolls.
Okay, so the next topic that I want to talk about is otherkins and hosts. So this is sort of a variation on the walk-in sort of theory out there.
Okay.
The otherkin community defines a walk-in with a caveat that people with multiple personalities may have one or more beings in their body without the host needing to depart. So this also ties back to the question that you asked earlier about, does the host have to be there? Now, the origins of these souls of otherkins vary because they're thought to be animal spirits as well as humans, and also mythological creatures. I just think of fairies, right? Like, what if they're fairies?
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that they are thought to share the body, but usually with permission and awareness of the host.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, me, I'd be like, no, you find a different body. Find your own body. But,
Did you ever watch United States of Terra?
I don't know if I did, but I know it sounds familiar.
It was with Toni Collette. She was amazing in it. She was phenomenal. It was, her acting. She played a woman who had multiple personality disorder.
Oh, cool.
But she had like 5 different personalities in her. And it's funny that you say like the animal one, because there was one that was like definitely an animal, because it had like no rhyme or reason, and it was wild. It was just a wild creature, and it's a good show.
So check it out.
Yeah. It was an amazing show.
I mean, I can see where sometimes I sort of invoke the energies or the medicine of my spirit animal, Panther. It's like when I need to be more deliberate and, just focused or even sensual or whatever about something. So I guess I would rephrase that I would allow Panther to share my body, and I do actually. Okay, so there's another phenomenon that's often confused with the walk-in experience, and that's called hosting. And a host is a person who believes they voluntarily share their body with other souls while retaining their own consciousness and sense of self. This one I can totally get on board with, because that's what I do as a medium and a channel. That's exactly what I do. Now, hosts experience the spirits of deceased relatives or friends and lovers, spirit guides, that sort of thing. And that's sort of this description that was given by spiritual mediums who believe that they can allow, a loved one or a spirit guide to take up residence in their body temporarily or permanently. So when I channel, and you're a channel too, so it's like you can switch between the consciousness of being in your body and then sort of take a step back and let the consciousness of that being communicate through you. I'm not thinking of what I'm about to say next. It's just coming out of my mouth.
Okay.
And so then I don't normally remember it. So same thing, right? When you channel, it just comes out of you in writing or whatever. So the concept of sharing the body with spirit, that's not a new thing. That's well known. Again, mediumship, channeling, that sort of thing. But it's really well known in indigenous cultures because, that's where spirituality, I believe. True spirituality is in the culture, I believe. Religion is not. It has nothing to do with it. But spirituality is based in the culture. So one of the central practices of Vaudon, Vaudon, is a religion practiced by the people of Nigeria and Ghana, and they allow spirits to take temporary possession of human bodies to give advice and to help all the people. Oh, I like that one. Folk healing can involve a similar ceremony in which a departed ancestor takes over a living body for the same purpose. It's all mediumship. And then in some Gulf Coast Native American tribes, leaders and healers are chosen from those who have the most spirits living inside of them.
Okay.
All right. So then the last one I want to talk about is wanderers. Wanderers are also known as like star seeds, rainbow children, and crystal children. And though, they walk among us. All of these walk-ins and hosts and otherkins, they all walk among us. But wanderers are thought of as souls connected to another place, planet, or realm who are here specifically for a mission. And that's what the kids these days are being born. They're being born here with a mission to help raise the vibrational frequency of this planet so that we can have people not being idiots who want to start wars and be racists and all that shit. They describe the feeling of being from another planet, who is like somebody who's just wandered here to prepare humanity for Earth's transition back to light. And it's not particularly uncommon, and it ends really when all souls leave the physical and return to higher consciousness, which who knows, right? That's full ascension, I guess, is what they're would be referring to. But the other thing too is that wanderers don't necessarily remember what their mission is, but it's always present in the DNA codes of their human body, which again, when we get into esoterics, the DNA codes are all in our etheric field. That's how I read the Akashic records, is through the energy bodies and all that stuff. So like I said, they're typically known as star seeds, rainbow, and crystal children, and they often possess abilities including telepathy, clairvoyance, energy cleansing, deep empathy, reality shifting, which is really cool. That's something that's interesting. And so then when you can recognize these people in your life, these wanderers, like indigos are super stubborn, and they are intolerant of unfairness. To me, that reminds me of a 9 humanitarian. Let me see. Often diagnosed with some form of autism. This one's really interesting. Rainbow children are the latest wave of healing souls to come to Earth. So a lot of kids these days are being diagnosed with autism, or they're being diagnosed as neurodivergent or whatever. And so this, of course, is just a theory that they are actually rainbow children.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to this channeling of the group called Quo. They're like a group of consciousness of spirits who came through and channeled messages for people through a group of people. And they started from like the 70s. But at one point they were asked what why some people have autism. Like, what's the explanation? Like, is there a spiritual like explanation behind autism? And they said that what they're doing here, they are souls that have already incarnated many times before, and it's just another way of experiencing life, and that's it. Like, there doesn't have to be like all this crazy like, you know, woo woo explanation to it. It's just they're just here to experience life in a different way. It's you know, how they chose to come in, you know, for that specific incarnation. And a lot of times they're not as much as, yes, it's a learning experience for them, but it's more of an experience for them. It's not so much the learning.
No.
The learning, the lesson is more for the people in their family or the people that they have to be around.
100%. That's, you just tied it all up in a nutshell. The whole concept of reincarnation, in karma. Karma is not, and I say this 1,000 times and I'm going to keep saying it, it is not punitive. Karma is experiential. So many people that have alcoholic parents or spouses or partners or whatever are in that life because of a past life in which they themselves were alcoholics. So what better way to experience something if you are an alcoholic is to experience it on the other end of what it feels like to love an alcoholic. So that I love that, you know, that message is out there saying it's just an experience. And that's why people get so mad also, though, when you tell them, you know, like, the same goes for abuse, and the same goes for, you know, we have free will. Humans don't need to make decisions to abuse people or hurt people, you know, but it's still an experience nonetheless. So
it is.
Okay, so then the last thing is about crystal children. They are infused with, you can recognize them because they have this light, this clarity, this joy, this just general love. And they're very fair and compassionate and kind, a little bit more than indigo and rainbow siblings, just because these are the true anchors, the light workers, the healers, that sort of thing. So I guess the whole thing, to wrap it up, is with these wanderers is that these star seeds, they see their existence as spiritual exercises instead of soul growth. And their overall objective is to serve humanity. So that really ties into your what you just said, is that these souls see it as an experience, as, you know, it's a spiritual exercise versus, oh, I have to learn to grow, that sort of thing.
And I don't think it's perceived on that level as a burden.
No.
But I don't know. I think it's just about the learning. It's about the lesson and what they have to teach other people about maybe compassion or whatever, patience, understanding, loving unconditionally.
Which is something that is, you know, we need more of and all that stuff. But, you know, it's hard. We're human, right? I know that I'm.
Yep, exactly.
You know, I know sometimes even of myself, why aren't I a little bit more patient and more, you know, spreading the love and light? But that's just not who I am. I'm not that love and light spreader, healer guru. I'm just not that person. So, you know what? I say fuck, and I teach you how to be a badass intuitive. And that's good enough for me. And that's how I'm going to live this life, you know, but we do need more.
Everyone has their own individual medicine.
Yep. Yes, that's true. That's my medicine. Ooh, my medicine is I say fuck and I teach you how to be a badass psychic.
Yep.
Let's do it. I like it.
Unblock that throat chakra.
Right. Exactly. Hey, do you have anything for the closing vibe?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk really quickly about the upcoming planetary transits.
Nice.
So this is information that I got from mindbodygreen.com.
Okay.
And first it's talking about the starting Wednesday, August 24th. This is Uranus goes into a retrograde into Taurus. So this has actually been happening. Uranus has been in an uncomfortable 8-year trek through Taurus that actually started from May 2018. And so this is really going to affect us on a more broader or more social level. So you can kind of see how this is playing out when you ask ourselves, like, how are we cooperating as humans? And you see, like, there's this kind of a war, right? Of people that want to do things, of changing shit and moving more into like a scientific way of thinking versus people who are stubborn and they want to stay in like old school belief systems. So we see that kind of playing out. And so that's continuing on right now. What you can do in this is you can take a look at the contradictions and see how are you contributing to this energy? How are you contributing to this world? What kind of human are you? And then our favorite, Mercury goes retrograde, and that is this Thursday, August 25th. And this one, it starts in Libra and then it'll end in Virgo. So it starts in an air sign and it goes into an earth sign. So if you think of how that kind of works, air signs are definitely more cerebral, more in their heads. And then an earth sign is trying to work towards being more grounded. I'm not going to say they just are more grounded. They're usually trying to work towards that. But so what this is going to do, the retrograde in Libra, is really going to highlight our relationships, whether it's a love relationship, work relationship, however, friendships. So it's going to have you re-examine that and take a look at what's working, what's not working, and what steps you need to take in order to get to how you want to strengthen these relationships. What maybe are you not saying? What are you asking for help when you need help? You've probably been on this journey now for a while where you've been asking, or you've been shedding away of relationships that no longer served you, and setting up your boundaries and all that. But when you need help, are you willing to ask for it? Are you going into your community and now, like, you have the friendships now, like, go and use them, utilize them. So this is what that Mercury is really the Mercury retrograde is going to teach you and really highlight for you if you haven't done so already. Quick thing, just get your contracts and stuff signed before September 9th, because that's really what it's going to be in its peak. And then it will correct course on October 2nd, and that'll be in Virgo. So yeah, definitely hashing out any creative compromises that can create conflict in your life. And then for romance, let yourself be in your head a little bit when it comes to your romance. And remember that communication is just as much about listening as it is about finding the perfect words to express your point of view. And
that's true.
Pay extra attention to aesthetics, because visual cues are Mercury and Libra's love language.
Yes. That's such good information.
And lastly,
there's more.
The new moon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because it's all bunched up this week. So our next new moon is Saturday, August 27th. And this says, those distracting piles and unchecked messages take up a lot of mental energy, even if you think you're ignoring them. So with stressful Mars and Gemini elbowing the new moon, you could have a meltdown trying to dig for that lost item. So rather than letting it get to that point, open up your notes app, make a list. I do this. I tell people to do this shit all the time. Like, make lists. It makes it creates this like sense of satisfaction.
It's true, because you can check it off and yep. I love lists.
And know that you got it done. Yep. Yes. So over the next 2 weeks, start ticking off tasks one at a time. And then also, since wellness is also in Virgo's wheelhouse, let the lunar lift reboot your fitness goals. Whether that means you're doing more outdoor activity, because, that's where Virgo, earthy Virgo, we're getting outside, weather's a little bit better, so we can do that. So whatever that is, whether it's taking a hike with a friend or getting back to your yoga class, take a look at that. And this is a really good time to do that. Also, your meals, could they be healthier? How's your sleep going? Maybe you need to create a little sleep ritual for yourself before you get to bed in order to get yourself in that mood of getting ready for bed. I tell my daughter this all the time. I'm like, stop watching TV and eating and doing all the fucking things in your bed.
Right.
Then your brain no longer understands, like, or your body really doesn't understand that your bed is just for sleeping. It thinks that it's for all the things, and it's hard for you to just, relax and calm down. So if you are like my kids.
Do you have a hard time falling asleep at night? I'm out.
No.
Yeah, I'm out. Like, I hit that.
No, I don't. I generally don't.
So how many of these things have you found that are actually on your mind? How many of these suggestions that we just heard are things that you're actually experiencing in life? Are there a lot?
Not a lot. I keep getting excessively sore and in pain after workouts, and I know that I need to change something. I need to change up whatever I'm doing. So I've been thinking for a while that I need to go join a Pilates club or a yoga studio. So that's probably what I will do. I just have to make sure that whatever contract I sign with these people gets done before September 9th, because I don't want any fuck ups. But other than that, how about you? Does something stick out for you?
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of the messages were like, "Oh yeah," and it's that's what I'm experiencing right now. So I know I'm on track because I'm like, "Oh, that's been on my mind, and I've taken this step to rectify that." Right? Thursday was my last yoga class for that 6-week period, and I'm like, but I don't necessarily not want to do it anymore. So I just was immediately just signed up for another one. Normally I'll hem and haw and procrastinate, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to fuck around. So yeah, definitely making lists, and eating healthier has been on my mind so much. We've talked about this, but last time we talked about it, and I said that I asked for help, and my cravings for crap are just not there anymore, so cool. I can notice a difference. So it's interesting how our personal journeys will be reflected in the astrology if we truly look at that and say,
absolutely.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good stuff, Maynard.
Yes, definitely.
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, as usual, you can find us on all the socials under Esoterics Podcast, and be sure to join our Facebook community, the Esoterics Community, to hear firsthand about our services, events, and courses, as well as access woo-friendly resources, energy updates, group-only pricing, and occasional cards and pulls and freebies.
You will also find support and information for developing your own spiritual and intuitive abilities, as well as your daily intuitive practices. So that is something to really look forward to. And please send us an email and let us know the types of practices that you would like more information to. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting us into your life today. Stay mystical, magical, and ready to do it again next episode. See you guys later.